Here we go. So we are live here on Ubuntu channel, and today being Friday, we bring to you a program we are calling Ubuntu Sports. And on the show tonight, we're going to talk about the Mapepa expulsion from the squad. I'm sure all of you've heard about the news, and Zanaco have been struggling this season, and they've brought in a new coach, an experienced coach, and a familiar face to you in Wada Wada. Wetson Nyerenda is back at Zanaco. We hope something will change there. And we'll also be looking at the back-to-back defeats of the Copper Queens as they prepare going to the World Cup. And we've also heard and we've received the news that they've clinched another deal to play against Germany. And ZSL is back tomorrow, and on Sunday we'll look into the fixtures. But let me introduce someone that is joining me this night. Is Mr. Abia, all the way from Eastern Province. Mr. Abia, good evening and welcome to Ubuntu Sports.
Thank you so much, Reuben, and thank you so much to the viewers. Yeah, it's a beautiful Friday of sports at Ubuntu channel again.
Great. Remember last week when we were here, we were talking about the Copper Queens. Let's start from there, because the last time we were talking about them, we lost 5-2. And then there was a game on Tuesday, we lost 5-0. What do you make of that game, Mr. Abia?
Yeah, I think for me, we didn't put much our effort into the game for the girls, because from the first game that we had, that we lost 5-2, it was really showing like we have a fighting spirit, because we went down by a goal to nil in the first half, and then in the same first half we managed to equalize, and then we managed also to get a lead by 2-1, thanks to Barbara Banda and Rachel Kundananji finding the back of the net. But it was worse in the second half, because the Koreans came with energy to score 4 goals in the second half. You know, just to concede 4 goals within 45 minutes, Reuben. I think that was really embarrassing for us, because our defense was really exposed. So my viewpoint was we have learned something, and then the second leg will be much better, because we have known how the Koreans are moving, how fast they are. I think the coach also needs to know and take note of the areas that we went wrong, so that in the second half, in the second game, we can do better. But it was worse than the first one. So I think it's a wake-up call to the girls. They really supposed to work together, because from the interviews that I heard from Barbara Banda and Rachel Kundananji, these two players, they have a different viewpoint. You know, Barbara Banda was speaking as a team. She didn't blame anyone. But whilst Kundananji went on to blame the defenders, you know, the defenders were not serious. They didn't help us. You see that?
But she was correct. If you watch the game, she even explained to say most of the time we didn't have much of the ball in terms us the strikers or us people who are in front for us to score goals. We didn't have much of the ball, so we were forced to go back and help in defense. As we are helping in defense, when you clear the ball, there is no one in the front to attack.
Yes, she was correct, but you know, some other correct information, they are not supposed to be revealed by a player, you know, because this will affect other players. You know, media houses, they take things you know, for granted sometimes. You know that, so they can go ahead and hate Rachel Kundananji to say, look what he says on the media. He's blaming us. Yes, we were wrong, but why did he go on to the media and expose us? We are a team. We need to work together. So I think for herself to speak like that wasn't good for a player, especially if you are a striker, because you depend on the defenders to do their job, midfielder to do their job, for you to have the ball up front. So congratulations to Babla Banda. As a captain, you need to speak for the team. That's what she did. But for Kundananja, I think yes, it was true what she says, but for the sake of her teammate, she couldn't have go ahead and speak all that. That's my viewpoint.
Great. I agree with you when you say um, the play wasn't as we expected. We could have done better in those in both games. Yes, our defense was leaking. I don't know. Do you think maybe it's because of the absence of people like Lushomo Mwemba and also Margaret Belemu? Do you think maybe that's the reason why our defense was like that? And also, we didn't have the first choice in goal. Hazel Nali was not to the team. We said with Catherine. Do you think these are some of the changes that maybe could have affected the team?
Uh for me, no. For me, no. No. Roshomo member and Margaret Belemu and Hazel Nari, these are only three players. So now, for instance, if these three players they are injured or they are red carded, how are we going to play? We need to depend on each other, not player as individual player. No. So I think the absence of these players, I can't say we lost just because they were not there. That's a totally lie, because in 5 goals through in both matches, it was too much. Yes, our goalkeeper was not up to the task, because always when the balls came in for Koreans, they always manage an opportunity to score against her. But yes, she's not up to her task. But absence of two or three players, for me, I cannot say we couldn't have lost that game. But the uh, difference of goals, the goals that we conceded in both games were too much.
The goals were too much. Let's look at some of the things that we saw in the game. We saw uh, in both games we saw penalties being won by Korea. Like we were panicking during the defense and giving free penalties to our opponents. This is something that I think we need to work on, Mr. Abia.
Yes, yes, indeed. Because sometimes also it happens when you are in a panicking mode. When you see a striker coming like the way South Koreans were coming, our girls, it seemed like they were shivering to say I have already lost the ball. So that interference should be there for our girls. You need to be consistent when you're in the pitch, and you need to be sharp. So for the Koreans, these are Asian countries. You need to know how they move and how you can contain them. So if you don't have that ability, that's what led to us conceding 5 goals. So I think our girls have more to learn, and we are even lucky that fathers they also managed to find a higher friendly uh, team like German. The way we have been exposed in the last two friendly matches, I think
Yeah.
other teams couldn't have interest to play with us, because they have seen us the way we are playing. We are not competent, but we are really lucky that we have also managed to find a friendly game against the Germans.
Yeah, I think now for now it's easy for us to organize matches, friendly games, because we are one of the teams that are going to the World Cup. So most of the teams, especially in Europe, they're thinking which African country can we play with, and here we are because we're also a part of the team that are going to the World Cup. So it's easy to select Zambia. Let's have a friendly. Who knows? Maybe you can meet these guys in the quarterfinals, in the knockout stages or somewhere there. So they also want to try you and also prepare. How can we? How are they prepared? Uh, how is our performance with the African countries? So they also want to play with us. We're one of the teams that are taking part. But talking about the same game for Germany to be on July 7th, just few days before or few weeks before we go to the World Cup, how should we approach this game, Mr. Abia? I'm sure if we approach it the same way like we did with the Korea, I think we might even go 10, 15 nil.
As for me, I think for our coach, he has learned a lot. For this game, I can only urge him to use those players he thinks this is the first 11, you know, so that they give a clear indication where we are going. So don't select players as he has been doing in the past, bringing different players on board. Yes, it is good because you are weighing up with different players. But as for this game, it's a serious one because the Germans they want to use this game because we have played Morocco before. So in their group they had Morocco. So they want to know the style of Morocco and how we manage to contain Morocco, so that when they are facing with Morocco in the FIFA World Cup, they know their movement or their tactics and how they can contain. Because if they can manage to beat Zambia, they have that strength to say we can even beat Morocco. So that's what they are using this game for. So for us, we are using this game to prepare ourselves to have energetic on how we are going to play in the FIFA World Cup. So uh, for me, I can only urge the coach to pick up first 11 that he thinks that this is my first 11 to play with with the Germans, so that those players we can see their combinations. I think that's my submission.
All right. Looking at the same women's national team, we just received news from there that Mapepa, so Mala Mapepa was chased from the squad for disciplinary issues. This is not the news that we're supposed to receive from the squad right now. What's your take on that one, Mr. Abia? I'm sure you heard the news.
Yeah, I heard the news. I was disappointed with the news. Because the same drugs abuse, this is what affects many players, especially here in Zambia. If you can recall, my friend, dear friend,
But
Reuben,
Mr.
Jerome,
Abia,
we
Mr.
had
Abia, just
yes,
a minute. Let's put it on record. The issue of drug abuse is it's an allegation that is just going around, and it's not an official communication from FAS or from the club. It's just an allegation that she was found with some drugs and all that, but it's not an official communication. Let's. I just wanted to put that on record. You can go ahead.
all right, yeah, it's just a yeah, you are right indeed. But she was chased. That means
Yes.
there were clear indication to say she did it, because even herself, I think she didn't even allow herself to be interviewed. Have you heard that there was some interviews with her? I think there is
No,
no.
no interviews, but her club just confirmed, Elite Ladies just confirmed that she had arrived and her teammates were waiting for her at the airport. When she arrived, she was just surrounded by teammates, and off she went. There was no time for the interviews. And actually, they didn't even announce the time she will arrive in Zambia. So the time she arrived, no one knew of her arrival, and up to now, we've not heard anything from the team, or from the player herself. Mr. Abia, are you still there? All right. If you're joining us, this is Ubuntu Sports, and we're looking at the expulsion of Mapepa from the squad in South Korea. The allegations going around that she was caught with some drugs. We're not yet sure. We've not yet received the confirmation because there was nothing like that. From the communication that we received, we were just told that she was expelled from South Korea. Let's go on a short break. Then, when we come back, we continue the conversation with Mr. Abia. Let's go on a short break. See you on the other side.
Globally, 85% of infertility is because of infections, typically the chlamydia and the gonorrhea.
Your time is up. Thank you so much.
Okay. Since I've been mentioned, I can react to what comment Chinda just
Yes.
I haven't finished my point.
Remember,
No, let me finish my point so that my brother can.
Does the Patriotic Front know the kind of damage they have done to our economy and to our country? I do not.
The alleged abduction of Pamela Chisupa, and this case has really kept us on our toes. And in as much as
nobody has been acquitted from this new dawn administration cases that have been started, there's nobody that has been acquitted. Okay.
CJ, foreplay. I'm not talking about jump and begin acting like a kangaroo. No, foreplay. Many of us as Africans, we lack this virtue. This is not there.
Yeah, the time project ku Malabo. What's about the first game twale tena wa Senegal. I think very tutasana underrated because even the warm up, you can see the way they are doing warm up. Vale munakati bora na wawina kale nyo.
It's actually good if you start creating competition in the team. If you don't create competition, then you will have a problem. Who to replace when one is injured?
The names people have been calling me, I accepted them and I will stand them. But what I would prefer being called as a nickname, I would prefer being called Sambalong.
From it, we can't make the Bible fit us and have things that make Esther feel good, and things that Esther doesn't really feel good about, she'll edit out.
We're trying to represent Zambia from a different side of things. We just don't want to be regular, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to package ourselves to Africa and the world.
Is a tradition that man, or indeed a human being, is born in. Naturally, we are born with Ubuntu. We live with it. We come into this world with that.
Ubuntu ninshila iyo abantu basendelamo ifyo umuntu afwiryo kuba nefyo afwiryo kuchita nefyo afwiryo kwikaliramo Ubuntu.
Chitemiko, Ubuntu Mutende.
Ubuntu, kukala pamoja.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Lameck is here joining us. Lameck, good evening. Welcome to Ubuntu Sports.
Good evening, Reuben, and good evening to the viewers.
Great to see you, and I'm happy that you're in a high spirit, even if the Copper Queens are beaten back to back.
Yeah, it's been a difficult week for us football lovers. But we can't relent. We'll continue supporting our queens. We think, we can do so much better. There's a lot of room for progress. And we keep the faith. I think, who knows? We may win the World Cup.
Who knows, may win the World Cup. But before the World Cup, you've got Germany, who might also beat you 10-0.
Wow. Okay, that is a very much high level friendly. I'm really excited for Zambia. I think we are on the right track. We're doing the right things because we are able to get the high profile friendlies. We are able to get invites from teams that are in the top 20 of the rankings in women's football. So it shows that we have made stable progress. We should not derail the team. We should leave the team as they are. I think just focus on improvements. We've been able to secure friendlies such as Germany. Two other friendlies cancelled. Great Britain. We had also Netherlands. That just talks about what the world sees in our queens. I think we just have 1-2 areas that we need to work on, and we'll be ready to compete.
Thanks for that, Lameck. Earlier on, we were with Abia and we were talking about the expulsion of Mapepa from the squad. I'm sure you heard the news. What's your take on it? What's your comment?
I think it was very unfortunate that she got expelled from the team. Reasons not clearly stated by the association, so we'll just leave it at that. For me, I think that may be bad for our confidence looking at the period that we are going into. She's the current leading scorer of the Women's Super League. We are also looking at what she can be able to do in the remaining months leading up to the World Cup, because look, this is one player that is crucial to the team behind the Rachel Kundananjis, the Barbara Bandas. She's one player that we will look up to for goals, for those assists, for that breakup play, for those runs. She's a player that will definitely come in. Sometimes she may start, sometimes she may start on the bench, but she's an exciting player. I think what happened should not derail her. I think the stance taken by FAS was very good, because when she arrived, we saw FAS officials, high-ranking officials of FAS, not just anybody, but high-ranking officials of FAS go to receive her at the airport. So that gives us a sense of feeling that she is still in the plans of the association, and she's still a cornerstone in the Copper Queens team. What we just need to do is to continue encouraging her to, to do her best, to be in her best behaviors in whatever environment she's in. She's talented, and continue emphasizing the point that talent will take you places. I think this is one thing that we need to continue telling our boys and girls, that talent will take you places. If you can't work with a pen, work with your talent. So let them harness that talent, to the best of their abilities. And I think she will come good. I believe she will come good. She's a very good player, and an exciting personality also.
Thanks for that, Lameck, and welcome back, Mr. Abia. Let's move on. There are changes at Zanaco. Lameck, the coach, has been fired. The consultant has also been fired. That changes. We've seen Wada Wada, Wetson Nyirenda back at the club. Does that give you hope of a new Zanaco now going forward?
Okay, in the remaining games, talking about relegation, I don't think Zanaco can be relegated. Even under Kaindu or Amunike, I think they would have never been relegated. For Wada Wada, I think it is a great return. He's on a short contract, so we may see changes at the end of the season, depending on what Wada Wada will do with Zanaco. If he does well, he may get an offer outside, or he may get a contract at Zanaco, or maybe any other club that may come for his signature also. So for me, these are exciting times. If we look back at Kaindo and Amunike, results are what counts if you're coaching a big team. No matter what you're doing, I've heard Amunike being quoted as saying that they had something that they were building, and the fans were buying into the idea of what they're building. And then the board came out and said, they had other plans. But again, the same fans are what give pressure to the board of the club. So the board fell down to pressure. Kaindo has been he's been criticized since the day he was appointed. He's done so much for the club, but again, results haven't come his way. And then it's unfortunate again that this season with Amunike, we've seen Amunike on the technical bench, but not so much in terms of results. But the cry from fans is the results. You may play good football, but if you're not getting results, football, no one will give you that job. So I think it was something that was just waiting for time. It was a ticking time bomb. It has happened. Wada Wada comes on board. First game he plays against his former club, a club that he also coached and won a title with, which is Zesco United. A tough match, but that one would dictate what Wada Wada is made out of. And we know the popular saying, if you want trophies, you know who to call. So we may expect something from Zanaco next season. If Wada Wada stays with Zanaco, we may expect something from him because he's one of the coaches that manages to get at least a trophy with every club he coaches.
Great. Mr. Abia, I also want to get through your comment over the appointment of Wetson Nyirenda or Wada Wada at Zanaco. I know your plan, you wanted to see him as the head coach for the Zambia national team, Chipolo Polo, but he's been appointed as a coach for Zanaco. Your comment?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted him indeed to be a Zambia national team coach, but unfortunately, it didn't go the way we were thinking. But Wetson Nyirenda to be appointed as Zanaco coach is really good because my brother has been out of work for some time. He, like Lameck has said, we are expecting more from him to show that he's really in the system. So I think for me, I have great. I'm expecting more from him to show at Zanaco because Zanaco is a highly profile club. When we are coaching Zanaco, we are coaching Kana, coaching Zesco, like Power Diamonds also, they are really big club in Zambia. So I think for him to have a job at Zanaco, it's a really wonderful thing because when he progress, we can see that this coach may also, if our current Zambia national team coach can go and sleep, we can consider him to say, let's appoint him as an interim coach for some time. Maybe we can see. So I think it has a lot of messages for him to be appointed as Zanaco coach. Your mic is muted, my colleague.
Thanks. Lameck, let's look at the ABSA Cup final now. We know the teams that are in the ABSA Cup. We saw Forest Rangers really doing miracles, overturning a 1-0 deficit to win it 2-1 against the log leaders in Power Dynamos, and we saw that lucky goal by Musa against Trident. So the final is Musa versus Forest Rangers. What do you make of the final of the ABSA Cup? And a quick comment on the semi-finals of the ABSA Cup.
I think that one is a big match for both teams. And again, both teams are really under pressure going into the final. They both want to win. I may not talk so much about Ian Bakala. He wasn't the one on the bench for Forest Rangers in that win. We can't take away credit from him for what he has done with that team throughout the period that he's been with the team. But again, a coach that many people never knew, before the start of the season. Coach Lameck Banda, who was assistant to Masauso Tembo at Musa, and when Masauso left, Lameck took over the role and has done exceptionally well with FC Musa. Currently in top 4, they've been in top 4 for as long as I can remember. They went into the match against Trident, very huge favorites. Who would have known that a club from Mazabuka, which was founded, a few years ago, which won promotion a few years ago, would reach a level where they would be favorites in a semi-final match. But kudos to both coaches for what they've done. again, before I talk about the final, I would just maybe highlight one or two about the semi-finals. One thing is this: when Power Dynamos got the lead, and then they had the match in their hands, they got reluctant. For me, I kept telling the people who were watching that match with to say, Forest Rangers should be patient. That goal will come, and when the goal comes, another one will come, and that is what Forest did. They were not under pressure. They played the ball. They tried to pass as much as possible. They tried to open up, Power Dynamos, and luckily one goal came. And after the goal came, we saw another goal in the late dying minutes of the match. Great show of character from the team. It also talks about what the players are about, because at the end of the day, the messages that the coaches have been telling the players throughout the season is what we were able to see. Because if players were not that patient, I think Forest would have never got to a level where they come back against league leaders. Mind you, this is Power Dynamo's first loss in 2023. So they had never lost a match since the turn of the year. And then come to this match and they're beaten against a team that is, chasing the title also. So that was a big match. For Musa, not a so good performance. I've heard, people say that even the owner of the club saying that they played with a flu in the team, so the team did not perform too well. For me, I don't think that that argument can stand. I think that was just a bad day for Musa. I know football, you can't play well on all days. There are days that you just need to accept that we played badly. Because when somebody steps on the field, let's not talk about excuses. Play the ball. If you win, even an ugly win is a win also. So accept the fact that, okay, we did not play well. We won, but the performance wasn't the best. Unlike, trying to sugarcoat certain things and whatnot. Congratulations to Musa. Congratulations to Forest Rangers. But again, both teams are under pressure. Why do I say so? Forest Rangers has lost to FC Musa home and away in the league this season by a scoreline of 1-0. They lost at Nakambala Stadium in the first round. In the second round, they lost at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. They go to Hero Stadium. Forest Rangers have that pressure not to lose to the same opponent 3 times in one season. Forest Rangers want, for FC Musa, they're under pressure to overturn that. They have, that belief that you can't, sometimes beating the same team 3 times is almost impossible. So that also gives them that pressure to say, okay, we need to overcome that mental, that mental side from the players. Because sometimes you don't lose because you are bad. You just lose because of that mental aspect of the game. That thing that tells the players, in the players' head, that tells them that, okay, we've beaten these guys 3 times, twice already. Can we do it? So the message from the coach should always be that, okay, we can do it, and they may eventually win the final. The prize money is much bigger than the league winner, prize money. So it's everything to go for. There's been a lot of pressure on FC Musa financially and other constraints. Financially, they are doing well. But that 750, if it comes in, it may help the club in one or two ways. Who knows? Maybe they may actually upgrade from that roster bus that they've been using. So tough match for both teams, but I think with time we may just get to see who the winner is on match day, because it's tough to predict when we are so far away from the final.
Indeed, tough to predict. Like Lameck, one thing that was coming out from the first semi-final after Power Dynamo was lost, the fans were telling the coach Mapepa that he can leave because he cost them that game. The blame, they're shifting it on the coach. Do you agree with the fans?
Okay, for Mapepa, he needs to man up. I think he needs to man up, and he failed to man up after that match. He failed to attend the interview. As much as you lose a match in such a way that Power Dynamo was lost, I think he should have stood up and went for that interview. Spoke his mind or something like that. we all know there's a lot of frustration that comes in when you lose a match and whatnot. But one thing that we need to know again as we comment on Mwenyachi Pepo is that he hasn't had the best of relationships with the fans, because the fans have been insulting him over and over again. Even when he has done something that Power Dynamos hasn't done in over close to 10 years now. They haven't won a league in close to 10 years now. So he's in poor position to win the league, but the fans just can't appreciate the work that he's doing. And that, in a way, frustrates him. We've seen him, utter some comments out, throughout the league. He's called out some fans saying that those guys are not pure Power Dynamos fans. They're just people that want to destabilize the club and all of that. We also saw the Power Dynamo CEO apologizing for the comments that the coach had made and, making efforts to mend the relationship between the coach and the fans. The relationship in the long run, this relationship may actually determine what the club, what comes out of the club at the end of the day. If Power slip up and fail to win the league, trust me, Mwenyachi Pepo may actually lose his job. But Power Dynamos, is a very professional club. They have a contract with Mwenya. Mwenya has also talked about the fact that he may not extend his contract when it expires, I think at the end of the season or so. So there's a lot going on in the background, mixed emotions. One side that feels people should appreciate the efforts. Another side that feel that the coach can do so much better with the team. But we need to appreciate when people do good. Yes, the semi-final he lost. He needs to, man up and accept that he got his tactics wrong. He got reluctant and failed to manage that match, and so.
All right, gents. The Zambian Super League is back after a 2 weeks break. Last week there was Absa Cup. There were no league games, but this weekend we have league games, and one of the teams that will be playing is Red Arrows, the current champion there at Nkoloma Stadium against Prison Leopards. But before we discuss that, we had a chat with Chamanga, who, after playing with the Zamsa friendly game, described how the season has been for Red Arrows so far. And let's hear also from the Zamsa FC manager what he had to say about the friendly that they had with Red Arrows. Let's hear what they had to say, then we'll come back and have a chat. Game, I just want to find out how the season is for Red Arrows so far.
So far so good. We are still on course. It's been a easy season for us. We're coming out of winning the league, and we're putting new players. For us, like every game is a tough one, but we are on course. We didn't play so well last few games, but we're believing in the coming games we'll do fine. But so far so good.
Those have been issues this season for you as Red Arrows. How important was this friendly game where you scored six goals?
Yeah, it's good for the confidence going into the next game. It's very, very important because we're playing the game with confidence. And if we can carry the same spirit into the coming game, we'll do something different from the previous games. We still believe in ourselves. We scored 5 goals against so we believe at home. We still have good fortune. I'm sure this is our confidence now.
The next game for you in the Premier League is Prison Leopards here at home. How ready are you for Prison Leopards? And Moza also seeing to it that you lost in the Absa Cup against Moza, and they'll be here on over the weekend next week.
Yeah, we were taking them at the time, so right now we're considering Prisons, and we consider Moza after Prisons. We're focusing on the Prisons game now. The game we played against Moza, of course, was disappointing because we played the finals last season. Yeah, back a bad season for us in terms of that, but we're still on course for Champions League and the league. We're still ourselves.
Thank you very much.
saying that 6-0 was too much. What do you make of the game?
Obviously, we came here to train, we came here to learn. We're a young team trying to develop. We're looking forward to such friendlies that boost the team's morale. And that was one of our first games. It was our first game, this is our second game. Our main game is now. But most importantly, we came here to train.
How morale boosting it is to your players playing the likes of Chamanga in the game?
It's really encouraging, growing up, they're looking for talent. If such young players are given opportunity to play in such big teams, searching for talent to come there will be very easy, because big teams should not be playing against themselves. The only time that we can develop and make sure we have a future in football, make sure we give players such opportunities to play this.
Next week it's back into the league games. What's your target for this season?
I'm not sure it's next week. Is the memo out already?
Yes.
Oh, it is. I think I've not checked the memo. We're back. We're with Airport Warriors next week. It's a must-win game for us. We lost last week to Police College, and a very unfortunate result. Building to this team, we are training for that particular game because we don't want to rest. We want to make sure we finish.
What's your target on the long term?
Top 4. Top 4 is our priority for this season, because we're looking forward to say, okay, if we win this game, we can win the league, we can work. But top 4 is our target.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Jades. We've heard it for yourself. That's Chamanga talking about the game before they play Prison Leopards tomorrow. Lameck, I want you to go first in that game. What's your comment?
It's a tough match for both teams. I think Red Arrows still feel they have that pressure. They haven't really done so well. They've been on streaks where they haven't won matches. I think the longest was 8, where that was a bad run that they had. So it hasn't been the best of seasons for Red Arrow. So they are still under pressure to do their best. But again, they're not too far away from league leaders, Power Dynamos, in the top 4. I think a consolation for them may be maybe finishing second and qualifying for continental football. I think that may be a very good consolation for them. But for Chamanga, I think he has a lot of experience. He's provided a lot of experience for Red Arrows. He's been a guide for the team. But I think it's time that the technical bench takes a step to put younger players in front of Chamanga. Yes, we need the experience that he brings to the match, but I think let them give him that leading role, maybe sit out. He can lead from the bench, in short. Like I can say he can lead from the bench and maybe come on in the 70th, 70th, 60th minute or something like that. Let those boys that still have those legs, take up that run, and maybe their goal difficulties may be solved. Unlike giving him the first run ahead of young players that that are really fighting to establish themselves in the league. And for the friendly with a small team from the lower league, I think it's good for the lower league. Yes, it gives a chance for Red Arrows to scout 1 or 2 players, but again, for the younger team, I think it provides them something of a challenge, that exposure to help them face opponents that bring different structures to their matches. So a lot to learn for Zamsa, but again, Red Arrows, a lot to expect from them going forward. The match against Prison Leopards, a tough one. Leopards come into this match, they are not looking at dropping points. They also want to win points to make sure they end the season on a respectable position. 2-3 seasons ago, Prison Leopards was not the club they are today. They were a relegation threatened team. They've invested so much in the team to get to where they are today. So we may just wait and see if they can get their best ever finish in the ZSL. we wait and see. And this may be the start of that journey, because the last 6 matches won't be forgiving for any club. You know, you lose 2 games, you know, you are completely out of a race. If it's the race for the league title, you know, those chasing Power Dynamos, Power already have a huge gap. So you draw points. Same for Red Arrows. Should they fail to win 1 or 2 matches in these 6, they will be completely out of the race for the title. So a lot of pressure for both teams, and a good match to watch, I think, on the weekend.
Great. Mr. Abia, I also want to get your comment and your prediction. Red Arrows versus Prison Leopards at Nkoloma Stadium tomorrow.
Yeah, this will be a very difficult game, because Red Arrows, the pace they have been playing, the results have not been coming their way sometimes, but I think they can do better. But it will be it's a really a difficult game to predict, like Lameck said. But hope for the better for the Red Arrows, because Prison Leopards, they are really a good side also. They really played a good ball, and their combination is really good. And let's wait and see for the defending champions, if they can show that they are really defending champions. As for me, I wouldn't like for Red Arrows to play continental football. They have been disappointing us so much. Let's try the other team. You know, our Dynamos also, they're giving me a red light, like you know, losing to as Lameck said, they have lost in the same final to the Absa Cup. So that's really giving me a worry. If this team who can make Zambia to bring back fourth slot for CAF, you know, to play CAF Champions League or CAF Confederation Cup, we need those fourth slots. So the way they are performing right now, Power Dynamos, and those decisions, the fight between a coach and the fans, I think it's not going to help a team to go further. You know, when the season ends, you need to buy players, you need to reinforce the team, so that now we are going to play with a different players from continental football. So I'm really, I'm really worrying for our team. So hope for the better for Red Arrows if they can show up and get results.
Thanks for that, Mr. Abia. Another game, a big game at Hero Stadium. It's NAPSA. This is Green Buffaloes. We had also a video clip. We'll hear what Coach Perry Mapepa had to say before the game, and also the Green Buffaloes coach in Masauso Tembo also had his comments. Let's watch the clip. All right, it seems the clip is not yet ready, but a big game tomorrow. These were friends, Lameck, in Perry and Masauso Tembo. One was a coach, the other one was assistant. They went separate ways, and tomorrow they meet in the opposite direction.
Yeah, you know, a tough match for both teams. Again, looking back, Masauso has already beaten Perry twice, one with Musa, one with Green Buffaloes. So this is that chance for Perry to redeem himself. I think Masauso has been his understudy. He has a lot of respect for Perry. You know, even in the, even in the interview that he had, pretty much interview that he had, should have been this morning. You know, he also attributed the fact that he has learned a lot from Perry because they've been together for the longest of time. He also talks about the fact that his football that is, that we are seeing from Green Buffaloes has a part of Perry in it. So that shows that he has a lot of respect for Perry going into the match. And then Perry again, he made some comments that didn't really sit well with I think Masauso. To some extent, I think Masauso had mentioned something like that he was surprised by certain comments that were made by Perry Mapepa. Because Perry also describes that he's not under pressure for him, his target has always been, he's been consistent with this. His target has been to help the team survive relegation, finish in a respectable position, and like get ahead of themselves and try to to set targets, unrealistic targets. So he also talks about Buffalo's feeling the pressure because they're in the top 4. So a loss may actually dent their title chase and all of that. But again, it's a tough match for both teams. NAPSA have been really good at the National Hero Stadium. Green Buffaloes on the road, they haven't been the best, but they are also good on the road. So we wait and see what result that match may bring. But trust me, it's going to be a cracker of a match. NAPSA are very tactical. Green Buffaloes are also tactical, but not to the level that NAPSA play in terms of tactical approach to matches and all of that. So it's a good match. I think to some extent it may be a little boring for that general fan that wants to watch end-to-end matches. I think it will be a match that will be played with a lot of caution, especially from NAPSA. I think NAPSA will approach the match with a lot of caution in this match because looking at the fact that he's already lost twice, so he may not want to lose again.
All right, let's hear from the coaches in Perry Mutapa and also Masaso Tembo. Then we'll have a comment after that.
Thank you. Big game, local derby, never easy, but this is our home game. I think the last encounter in the first round, we lost to them by 2-0. Since the beginning of the season, I think they have been in the top 4. So for them, especially going into the last games, they can see in Ghana, there's Red Arrows, there's Green Eagles, there's some other teams. So it makes their lives difficult. But for us, we are coming from the lower division. It will be very bad for Buffaloes, who have been in the top 4, to lose this position.
No, I didn't expect that. Yes, at Power, I was with my colleague Perry. Of course, I was under Perry. Even at Forest, I was under Perry. I've learned a lot from him. As you can see, even the type of football, I think the philosophy I try to play, there's a bit of him, and of course I've added what I've been studying myself. I haven't got much to say. Let just the history repeat itself.
Thanks for that. Mr. Abia, it's NAPSA Stars and Green Buffaloes. What's your prediction there?
Yeah, this should be also a very good and this would also be a very good football. This game will be very tight football. In old days, as I know, GBFC, Go Boys and Conga, I used to call them that. And I still used to call them that, because they are playing a good football. For themselves to be called GBFC, they were something else that I admired from that team. This is why I keep on calling them GBFC, Go Boys and Conquer. So I think for the way I have seen the way they are playing, when they go outside their home ground, I think the only result they have gotten better is a draw. So NAPSA Stars now, as Lameck have said, they have lost to FC Muza and I think to the other team also. So they have dropped 6 points in the 2 games. So they will really fight for a point, but it will not be easy to beat GBFC. So as for me, 90 minutes will tell, but I give credit to GBFC.
Thanks for that. Let's look at the last match though, of many matches that are going to be played. Let's look at the Nchanga Rangers game. Nchanga Rangers are away in Choma. They'll be playing against Green Eagles at Independence Stadium. Lameck Agrechiengi is back home in Choma, but he's with a different team now in Nchanga Rangers.
Yeah, he visits Nchanga. He visits Green Eagles after leaving earlier this season. He was fired after a string of poor results. For Nchanga Rangers, he hasn't had the best of time. With Nchanga Rangers also, I think looking again at his interview, he also talked about what he wants from the boys, and then he's saying that at least by now, the players are getting the idea of what he wants from them. So it's not an easy match, because at the end of the day, it will be about feelings, about what is and what isn't for both teams. Green Eagles are not an easy team to beat at home, but Agrechiengi also has something that he knows about Green Eagles. Green Eagles also know something about Agrechiengi, which at the end of the day will make this match an interesting one. Alex Namaza on the other end, I don't think he has pressure. I think for him, he's just looking at winning the match. He may not have so much pressure because he was the second assistant to Agre. He may want to beat his former boss. So it's a tough match for both teams, but again, I feel Green Eagles may just have that edge over Nchanga Rangers. I don't think Nchanga Rangers have the odds in their hands right now. I think if they're not careful, they may not survive the drop. For me, that's what I think. So Agrechiengi needs to start picking points as soon as possible. For me, I think his approach shouldn't be going for 3 points. I think he should go maybe for maybe a point, knowing that it's a tough place to pick points from. So if he can get a point, that would be good for him going into his next match. But if he wants to go all out and fight for a win, then it may be too tough. But we can't rule anything out. A match can only be decided after 90 minutes. So we'll wait and see what will happen in that match.
Great. Before we get to Mr. Abia, let's hear about the comment that came from Agrechiengi, the pre-match views that came from Agrechiengi about tomorrow's game in Mazaboka. Can we have the Agrechiengi clips when we continue with the program?
The team is ready for Green Eagles, and we know that this is a very important game for us. Even though we are playing away, we have really prepared the players, and they are ready for the game. I think the most important thing is that one, the goodness is that the team is able to score, but the only thing is that we are failing to hold on to the lead that we get. And this is what we've been trying to work on within the team, so that the players understand where we have been making those mistakes. We know that it takes time for players sometimes to understand certain things, but we really have to keep reminding them, so that when we have a chance to lead, we make sure that we defend that goal as much as we can. But now when I talk about defending, I don't mean like when you score one goal, then you start defending. No, what I mean is immediately you lose possession, you start defending. That's what I mean, because football is played on two phases, attack and defend. So every player has to understand that moment. Which moment are we in? Are we defending or we are attacking? So those are the most important things that we've been talking and also trying to help the players understand. Yes, for now, I think most of the players now are understanding because sometimes you hear them make comments, and when they're making certain comments, now you understand to say, okay, now they are getting it. But again, you see, football is all about working hard. If you can't work hard, it becomes difficult to get the desired result. At the moment, at the rate that we are moving, I think we are very impressed with most of them. So we don't expect to have a problem. My message to the fans is first to our fans, the supporters. I just want to firstly thank them for the support that they give to us, and also to wish them that we will do our best for the team, because we really need to get the 3 points that we need. And again, whether they are traveling or not traveling, they should also remember to keep their hearts with us here in Choma.
Thanks. So those are the comments from Agre Chiengi. Mr. Abia, you can give us your prediction and also a comment of the preview remarks by the coach.
Yeah. First of all, I need to agree with him to say when the team takes the lead, they fail to defend the goal or defend the lead, they end up conceding, or that results into draw or losing the game. Yeah, that area is right. That's what the team has been doing, and I really feel pity for them again, because the team that they are facing tomorrow or the Sunday, is it tomorrow or Sunday? It's a really tough team. Green Eagles of Joma. You know, I have been trying to watch this team. Yeah, even when they have chance to watch at Super Sport, you know, Green Eagles, they are a team that are playing together when they are, especially when they are at their home ground. So I think for Ichanga Rangers, in the past game they have, I didn't even notice from them their seriousness. I don't know whether they want to get they want to face off for relegation the way the situation we were as in Ghana. So though we are chasing for top 4 right now, you know, it's really pity for Mchanga Rangers. You know, they are fighting relegation, so I think they need to work hard, as the coach has said, for them to get results. But it will be very difficult because Green Eagles, they are really a very good side. They're also chasing for top 4, if I'm not mistaken. So it will be a cracker for them. But without a doubt, Reuben, Green Eagles will take all 3 points.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Abia. Thank you, Lameck. This is where we end today's edition of Ubuntu Sports. Grateful. Thank you for your great analysis, and thank you to our viewers for following this show. Always catch us live every Friday at 20 hours. To you, our viewers, we say goodbye and see you next week. Bye-bye.